When the sun is high above us, or the moon is full aglow, what better than to sit by the river and watch it flow?
For now is the time to write words on sand and drink in the wisdom of far ancient lands. For the heavens soar above us, while the earth is still below. What better place than to sit by the river and watch it flow?
Hi, this is a story of two friends. They lived next door to each other, trusted each other completely, and did a lot of business and everything else together. Now, one of the friends had an opportunity to go on a very long voyage. Both of them were equally excited. They made all the preparations, got everything ready, and he was just going to leave when he turned to his friend and said, "Do take care of my house. I know you will. And can you also keep this pot of dal with you? I'll come back and collect it." And the man looked at him and said, "Yeah, why not? Just leave it in the storeroom. You can take it back when you come." The man went to the storeroom, found a secure spot, left his pot of dal, and went on his voyage. Many days later, there was a scarcity of dal in this man's house, and he thought, okay, why not I use the dal that my friend has left and replace it? So he went to the storeroom, opened the pot to take out some dal. There were lots of leaves inside. He removed all the leaves, and beneath it all, there were coins of gold and not dal. The man was shocked. He looked at it, and he was dismayed to think his friend had not trusted him enough to tell him it was gold and not dal. He was extremely disappointed, and immediately he got angry. He was really furious that his friend had not trusted him and had betrayed him. He said, "I will teach him." And he removed the gold from there, filled dal inside, covered it back again with leaves, and left the jar exactly where it had been left. Now this man who went on his voyage came back and spoke all about his voyage, told him about all the excitement, and then said, "Thank you for looking after my house. Now, can I take my pot of dal back?" This man said, "Yeah, sure, why not? It's in the storeroom exactly where you left it." So this man went to the storeroom, picked up the pot of dal, and went back to his house. He opened it and saw that under all those leaves, there was dal. He was dismayed. He came running back to his friend and said, "There's only dal inside here." And the friend said, "Yeah, isn't that what you told me? You told me there was dal in the pot. I don't understand. What is the problem?" Now, I'm going to leave the story there. And I want you to reflect. Has there been a time in your life when someone very close to you has betrayed you? When you felt completely let down by a person who you thought was extremely trustworthy? How did that make you feel? Thank you.
A man found an eagle's egg and placed it under a brooding hen. The eagle hatched and grew up along with the chickens. He clucked and cackled. He dug into the earth for worms. He flapped his wings and flew just a little distance. Years passed. One day, the eagle, now grown old, looked up in the sky and saw this magnificent bird gliding against the wind, barely flapping its wings. Spellbound, the eagle asked, "Who is that?" "Oh, That's the king of birds, the eagle, said his neighbor. He belongs to the sky. We belong to the earth. So the eagle lived and died a chicken, for that's what he thought he was. The thought that struck me was, what are my limitations? My thoughts or my environment? And how do I break free from both?
A tiny mountain village. There lived a kind and generous man who was adored and respected by all. But his life was not as he wanted it to be. He wanted to attain enlightenment. He wanted to be wise, he wanted to be compassionate, and he wanted to help everybody around him. One day, a legendary guru came to their village, and this kind man decided to muster his courage and meet with the guru. He went there, he stood in front of the guru, he joined his hands, he took his joined hands to his forehead, to his throat, to his heart, and he prostrated himself in front of the guru, surrendering his body, mind, and speech. The guru looked at him and asked, "What do you wish for?" And he said, "I want to attain enlightenment. I want to be wise, I want to be compassionate, I want to learn a lot, and I want to help everyone around me." The guru asked him a few more questions, and once he was sure of the kind man's sincerity, he said, "Climb up a mountain, make a home for yourself there. I'll teach you a special prayer, a chant, and you pray and meditate, and you will surely attain enlightenment." The kind man was overjoyed. He climbed up the tallest mountain that surrounded the village. He searched for a cave. He found a stone slab, which would now be his cushion, his table, his bed. He sat there, and he prayed, and he chanted, and he meditated for days and months and years. 20 years passed, but he had not attained enlightenment. One day, a man climbed up the mountain to meet with him and seek his advice. And the kind man realized that the guru was to come back to the village. He decided to climb down from his mountain cave house and meet with the guru. Many people had come and gathered near the guru to seek his advice. Days passed, and finally it was the kind man's turn to meet with the guru. He stood in front of the guru, he bowed in front of the guru, and the guru asked, "Have I counseled you before?" To which the kind man said, "Yes, 20 years ago I had come to you and had asked you, how can I attain enlightenment? And you had taught me a prayer. It's been 20 years, but I haven't attained enlightenment." The guru said, "Oh, I must have told you the wrong things to do. I'm sorry, you will not be able to attain enlightenment that way." The kind man was heartbroken. He broke down and he sat down near the guru's feet. And the guru said, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything to help you to attain enlightenment." Slowly the kind man got up. He felt much older now, and he slowly paid his respect to the guru and started climbing up to his mountain cave house. He reached there, and he was feeling devastated. He thought of how 20 years of his life had been wasted. He sat on the stone slab. He crossed his legs. He closed his eyes, and he started praying and chanting. Because that was the only thing he was left to do. He knew now that he would not attain enlightenment, and there was no hope. But all of this had become so familiar to him that he continued praying and he continued chanting. And this time, immediately, he attained enlightenment. And amazingly, the whole world and everything around him felt so much more clearer now. He knew that he had to give up to attain enlightenment. The grasping of enlightenment had prevented him from achieving it. With this profound knowledge, he stepped out of his house and he stood outside the cave and he gazed at the village down below. And For a minute he thought he heard the gentle laughter of the Guru, and he noticed the huge rainbow across the sky, across the snowy peaks, and he smiled. He knew that he had to give up to succeed, and he knew now that he would go back to the world to fulfill his dream and do his work in the world. Thank you. This is a story from Story Medicine, a book by Norma Levo. Thank you so much.
Hi, I am Pankhuri and I want to share a story with you. It's a folk tale. I have translated and adapted it in Hindi. I read it in a book called The Storyteller's Way. So here goes my story. दूर पहाड़ों की तलहटी पर बसा एक छोटा सा गांव था। गांव में एक लड़की रहती थी, समझदार, सच्ची और एकदम निडर। उसे कुछ नया सीखने का बहुत शौक था। जब उसने अपने गांव में सब कुछ सीख लिया तो उसने बाहर की दुनिया देखने की ठानी और एक दिन बस निकल पड़ी। कुछ दूर चलते चलते उसे किले की ऊंची दीवारों से घिरा एक शहर नजर आया। उसे बड़ी उत्सुकता हुई। उसने सोचा यहां जाकर देखती हूं, यहां जरूर कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा। और बस वो शहर में दाखिल हो गई। वहां के लोगों को देखकर उसे बड़ा आश्चर्य हुआ। कोई भी आदमी उसकी तरफ देख नहीं रहा था। किसी ने उसकी मुस्कुराहट को भी वापस मुस्कुराकर जवाब नहीं दिया। तो वो बहुत आश्चर्यचकित हो गई। उसे समझ नहीं आया कि यहाँ के लोग इतने दुखी, परेशान और इतने घबराए हुए क्यों नजर आ रहे हैं। तो बस चलते चलते उसे बगल से जाते एक राहगीर को रोककर पूछा, भाई रुको रुको रुको, ये बताओ माजरा क्या है? यहाँ पर कोई मुझसे बात क्यों नहीं करता? कोई मुझे देखकर हंसता तक नहीं है। आदमी ने कहा, लगता है तुम्हें पता नहीं है, आज दानव के आने का दिन है। लड़की को बड़ा कुछ समझ नहीं आया उसकी बात। उसने कहा, दानव? कैसा दानव? उसने कहा, आज ही के दिन ठीक समय पर हर साल यहाँ एक दानव आता है। किसी एक आदमी को उससे सामना करने के लिए बुलाता है, उससे लड़ने के लिए। ऐसा ना करने पर वो पूरे शहर को नष्ट कर देगा, बर्बाद कर देगा। और इसीलिए हम सब इतने परेशान हैं, पता नहीं आज किसकी बारी है, कौन जाएगा। लड़की कुछ सोचते हुए चुपचाप उसकी बात गौर से सुन रही थी। थोड़ी देर चुप रहने के बाद उसने कहा, भाई जाकर सबको बता दो, मैंने निश्चय किया है, आज मैं इस दानव का सामना करूंगी। उसने कहा, सच में? तुम सच कह रही हो? मैं सबको जाके बतला दूं? लड़की ने कहा, हाँ बिल्कुल बतला दो, आज मैं ही इस दानव का सामना करूंगी। आदमी ने जाकर सबको कह दिया। सब लोग वैसे तो राहत की सांस ले रहे थे, पर उन्होंने सोचा इतने बड़े दानव से इतनी सी कमजोर सी लड़की कैसे सामना करेगी। और सबने बस आकर जो है घेरा बना लिया और सब देखने के लिए तैयार हो गए कि आगे क्या होता है। ठीक समय पर जंगल के पास वाले टीले के बिल्कुल बाजू में जाकर लड़की खड़ी हो गई। उसे पता था कि दानव जंगल के जो पेड़ है वहां से आता है। अब वो खड़ी तो हो गई, लेकिन उसे बहुत डर लग रहा था अंदर से, पर उसने हिम्मत जुटाकर निडरता से दानव का सामना करने की ठान ली थी, तो वो वहां खड़ी रही। कुछ देर बाद पेड़ों की झुरमुट के पीछे हलचल हुई और वहां से पीछे से एक विशालकाय आकृति बाहर आती हुई नजर आई। बहुत बड़ी परछाई। वो दानव था, बरगद के पेड़ से भी ऊंचा था। एक बार लड़की का मन किया कि वो मुड़े और भाग जाए, मगर वो नहीं भागी, वहां खड़ी रही और धीरे धीरे टीले पर आगे चढ़ने लगी। थोड़ी दूर चलने के बाद उसने ध्यान लगाकर देखा तो वो बरगद के पेड़ से भी ऊंचा जो दानव था वो उसे कुछ छोटा नजर आया। उससे कुछ ऊंचे आदमी जितना लगा, किसी ऊंचे आदमी के जितना ही लगा। उसने कहा, मन में सोचा कि हाँ, इससे मैं सामना कर सकती हूँ, और उसको थोड़ी हिम्मत और आ गई, तो उसके कदम थोड़े तेज हो गए। तेजी से ऊपर चढ़ने लगी टीले पर। अब जैसे जैसे वो टीले पर चढ़ने लगी, थोड़ी दूर जाकर क्या देखती है, अरे ये आदमी जितना भी नहीं है, तो बौने जितना ही है। ये कैसे हो रहा है? खैर, वो तो खुश हो गई। उसने कहा, इससे तो मैं हरा दूंगी आज। और वो भागने लगी। वो भागते 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 जैसे जैसे उसकी तरफ जाती, वैसे वैसे देखती कि वो छोटा और छोटा और छोटा होता जाता था। जब वो उसके बिल्कुल करीब पहुंच गई तो उसने देखा वो एक गेहूं के दाने जितना रह गया। कितनी अद्भुत बात है! जो दूर से दिखता था दानव, बरगद के पेड़ से भी ऊंचा, पास जाकर गेहूं के दाने जितना रह गया। उसने धीरे से उसे उठाकर अपनी हथेली पर रखा, और इससे पहले कि हवा का झोंका आकर उसे अपने साथ उड़ा ले जाता, लड़की ने उससे जल्दी से पूछा, अरे भाई, तुम हो कौन? धीरे से आवाज आई, मैं हूं तुम्हारा जाना पहचाना ही। मैं हूं तुम्हारा डर। और ये कहते ही वो गायब हो गया। थैंक यू फॉर लिसनिंग टू मी।
2013 was the year of change for me. In 2013, I graduated from college and I was on a journey to discover what I'm going to do next. Maybe a master's, maybe get a job. I didn't know. So in the summer of 2013, I decided to let myself loose and not think much about the future. A friend of mine who lived right next to my house invited me for a party, and this was supposed to be a covert party where her parents did not know, and we were going to do, dancing and maybe a little smoking, etc. And no drinking because I lived in a dry state. So I went to her house at around 8 in the night, and this was supposed to be a whole night party, which meant that I had to stay there overnight. So I told my parents, who were pretty chilled out, and said, okay, fine, just take care. And I hopped from my house to my friend's house, literally hopped over the wall to her house. The night passed, and it was around 3 a.m. when some of her friends suggested, let's go and drink a cup of tea at the railway station, because that was the only place that would be open at 3 in the morning. So we took 2 cars We drove till the railway station, which was about a 7-minute ride from our house. We had a nice, lovely cup of hot tea, and we decided to head back. As we were heading back, one of the drivers decided to go for a long ride in the middle of the night, and all of us as enthusiastic passengers agreed. Somewhere in the night, the speed of the car increased from 40, 50, 60, and I don't know how fast it went. But all I remember is I was riding at the back seat of the car, and I woke up in the hospital the next morning. It so had happened that our driver, who was our friend, got super excited and he drove really fast and we dashed into a wall. Luckily, all of my friends were safe. Nothing had happened to them, even though they had sustained some serious injuries at that point. But when I opened my eyes, I realized there was commotion, there was panic, there was loud voices, and a lot of chitter and chatter everywhere. I saw my friends' parents there and other friends' parents as well, but I just could not see my parents. This freaked me out a lot. How am I going to find my family? Where am I? What am I supposed to do? So I decided to walk up and walk out of the hospital, only to realize a few minutes later that the nurse is dragging me back because I haven't had my tetanus shot. I plead and I beg. I want to go home. I don't know where my parents are. I need to go home. But the nurse calms me down. I accuse her of not using proper cleanliness methods in injecting the syringe. I accuse the hospital of being extremely unclean, but that was just the paranoia. A neighbor of mine, who had not accompanied us during this ride, took me back home, and I realized that it was summertime. And during summertime, my family all slept in one air-conditioned room that we had, so no one could hear the bell. Every time I would step out of the house at night and had to come back later in the night, I would usually knock at the window where my parents would sleep so that they would know that I've come back and they would open the door. But since no one in the society knew this cool technique that we used as a family, they kept on ringing the bell and no one opened the door. Finally, it was early in the morning, so I rang the bell and my father opened the door. My mother was behind him, and he saw that my shirt was soaked in blood. My mother almost fainted at that point, but we realized soon enough that that blood was not mine and was my friend's, and because I was sitting next to her, I took in some of the blood and it got soaked in my t-shirt. We went through a battery of tests that day, from chest x-rays, MRIs and whatnots, I don't remember, to rule out any internal injuries. And I'm so grateful that I had no internal injuries because of the crash. But one thing was made certain on that day. I decided to pursue further studies, but I decided that I'll do it in a city where I have family, where I have someone close, where I have someone who will help me when I'm in trouble, someone who will come to the hospital when I'm injured.
राम राम सा कहीं का होते सब। मेरो नाम खुशबू है और आज मैं थारा करना राजस्थान को एक छोटो सो गांव झुंझुनू का ठसा एक बढ़िया सी कथा बाचना आई हूँ। ये कथा में एक बांदरी है और ये बांदरी ना बड़ी मस्ती चढ़ रखी है। इको जब जो मुंह में आवे तब बोल देवा, इका मुंह बस चलतो ही रहा, चलतो ही रहा, चलतो ही रहा, चलतो ही रहा। आज इके साथ कुछ अनोखो होयो है। के होयो है? सोचो सोचो। इको ब्याह होयो है। आज इको ब्याह हो गयो है बांदर के साथ और आज बाप का ससुराल पहुंची है। जब ससुराल पहुंची तो पता ससुराल न देखा हक्की बक्की रहेगी। ससुराल न देखे इतो बड़ो ससुराल इतना बड़ा बड़ा मोटो मोटो पेड़। और किस चीज का पेड़ था? आम का पेड़। आम का पेड़, बेल का पेड़। आम न देख कर तो बिका मुंह में पानी आ गयो। तो आपका खाबा मक होगी। इतनी देर में सासू आई आरती की थाली लेकर। जब ये घंटी बजाई, बांदरी उठ गई आपका खाब सा। अब सासू ना प्रणाम करना लगी। सासू न देखी, सासुर न देखी, जेठ न देखी, जेठानी न देखी, ननद न देखी, नंदोई न देखी, सब न देखकर बहक्की बक्की रहेगी। क्यों? क्योंकि बे अशोक का पत्ता का सुंदर सुंदर बनाया हुआ कपड़ा पहन रखी थी और बिना का ऊपर चंपा का फूल सा मोटी मोटी बूटियां बनाई हुई थी। बिना का कपड़ा देखकर तो बस बिना नहीं देखने लगी। अब आरती वारती होगी तो सासू बोली, तू एक काम कर बांदरी, तू ऊपर जाकर सो जा। बांदरी फट 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 पेड़ पर चढ़ गई। सासू बिना देख कर सोची, या किसी बिंदरी है, अभी नई नई आई है, थोड़ी तो धीरा चलेगी। पर बांदरी तो आपको स्वभाव के हिसाब से फट 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 चढ़ गई पेड़ पर। दूसरा दिन बांदरी को सुबह होयो। सुबह सुबह पहलो दिन बस सोची, मैं ससुराल को सारो काम कर दूं तो सास ससुर सब खुश रहसी। बा उठी, नहा धोकर तैयार होकर झाड़ू लगाई, पत्तल बिछा दी और बाकी की एक बड़ो सो पत्तल बिछाकर सारा आम तोड़ ताड़ कर रख दी कि सब उठसी तो नाश्तो पानी करना चाहिए। सास आई, ससुर आयो। सास सब देखी। सास बोली, तू यो के की? बांदरी बोली, सब बाप को सब बता दी। अब क्यों होयो? सास बिना एक आंख दिखाई बोली, तू खड़ी रह। सास सब के लिए एक एक पत्तल बिछा दी जमीन पर और सब ना आकर बोली कि थे पंगत में बैठ जाओ। बांदरी सोची, ये पंगत में बैठकर कौन खावा? मेरी माँ तो सब मिलजुल कर घूम फिर कर एक जगह बैठकर खावा। अब बांदरी की सास सारा आम न आपका नाखून से छीली, एक एक न छील कर काट कर सब न परोस कर दी। बांदरी तो हक्की बक्की होकर देखने लगी, कुछ कौन बोली। अब जब सासू बोली तू खा ले, तो बांदरी आपका आम ली, अच्छा से चूस ली, एक साथ बस 10 आम खा ली और डकार भी ले ली। अब बिना देखकर सासू बिना बोली, बिंदरी यो कोई खाना का सूर है के? ढंग से खाया कर, देख ही ना सब न कहीं खावा। बांदरी कुछ कौन बोली, चुप होगी। दूसरा दिन सासू बिना फिर से टोकी और बोली कि तू तना कपड़ा पहनना का सूर को नहीं, तू ये के कपड़ा पहना? बांदरी कुछ कौन बोली। तीसरा दिन बांदरी की सास फिर से बिना डांटी बोली, तना बोलना का सूर को नहीं, तना पतो को नहीं के सास का सामना, ससुर का सामना, जेठ का सामना, जेठानी का सामना, सबका सामना कहीं बात किया जावा, तना कोई चीज का शऊर को नहीं, जा हट हट सा। बांदरी का आंखा से मोटा मोटा आंसू आने लग गया और बा पहुंच गई एक तालाब के पास। मुश्किल से तो एक तालाब मिले, बैठा जाकर बैठ गई। अब संजा होने वाली थी कि अचानक से बिकी नजर एक उल्लू पर पड़ी। वो उल्लू बैठकर बिकी आंखा तो बंद थी। जे सूरज ढलियो उल्लू आपकी आंख खोलियो। बा भी उल्लू न देखती रही, उल्लू भी न देखते रहो। उल्लू बिकी आंख से आंसू आता आता देख भी सब पूछो, तू क्यों रो रही है बांदरी? बांदरी बोली, मैं क्या करूं, मना न खाना का सूर, न पहनना का सूर, न बोलना का सूर, न कोई चीज का सूर को नहीं मना। मैं क्या करूं, मना अच्छो कौन लागा, मना कोई चीज का सूर को नहीं। थे तो उल्लू महाराज हो, थे तो बहुत ज्ञानी हो, थे मना कुछ बताओ, मैं क्या करूं, मैं क्या करूं, मैं दुखी होगी हो, मना गुस्सो आ रहे हो, मना रोनो आ रहे हो, मैं क्या करूं? उल्लू बिना बोलियो, तू एक काम कर बांदरी, तू अभी मना जो बोली ना फिर से बोल। बांदरी बोली, फिर से क्या बोलू मैं? बांदरी बोली, मैंने खाना को सूर को नहीं, मैंने पीना को सूर को नहीं, मैंने कपड़ा पहनना का सूर को नहीं, मैंने कोई चीज को सूर को नहीं, खाली मैंने सूर ही सूर को नहीं। को उल्लू बोलियो, बांदरी तू जब यह बात बोलती रहोगी तो यूं ही होसी। अब तू सोच तू क्या बोल रही है। अब मैं जा रही हूं। अब दूसरा दिन तू मैंने बताए। तो यह थी कहानी बांदरी की।
Hi, I'm Namrata, and today I'll be sharing a folk tale that I wrote about living in the times of Corona. I call the story Metamorphosis. Once there was a sage who, after many years of sannyas, decided to return to society. He waded through thick forest land until he reached the settlement that had once been his home. But when he reached the village, he realized that it was completely deserted and overrun with trees, shrubs, animals, and birds. There was no sign of any humans around. The sage was perplexed. Where could all the humans have gone? The sage walked through the empty streets looking for signs of civilization. But alas, none so far. As he walked, he noticed an earthworm slowly crawling along the moist ground. He called out to the earthworm, "Pray, gentle earthworm, do tell me where all the humans have gone." The earthworm replied, "Sir, I live deep underground in my burrow, amidst the soil, the darkness, and the silence. I know not what happens above ground, other than the times that I come to the surface, usually after a spell of rain has softened the earth. Sometimes I wish that I did not feel so alone, that my burrow did not feel like a cage. Please, be along your way." The sage continued walking towards the edge of the village. Suddenly, there was a fearsome sound and rustling in the trees, and out came a large black bear. The sage, initially alarmed, gathered his wits and spoke calmly to the bear. "Oh, great Balu, please help me with this conundrum. I can't seem to find the humans of this village. Do you know where they are?" The bear replied gruffly, "Wise sage, I have spent a large part of the winter in deep hibernation in my cave. I waited out the harsh, cold environment until it was safe to come outside again. To make sure that I would survive the winter and that I would not go hungry in my cave, I had to be well prepared. Please, go along your way." The sage continued walking around the perimeter of the village. As he walked, he noticed a butterfly fluttering around near the shrubs. He was mesmerized by its colors, the delicate patterns on its wings, and its dance in the air. He called out to it, "Graceful butterfly, please spare a moment to help me. Would you know where all the humans have gone?" The butterfly settled down on a nearby plant and replied, "Sage, you will not believe my journey of transformation. From a tiny egg, eager to be part of the world, I turned into a caterpillar, intent on consuming everything around me. But soon I changed again, this time engulfed in a cocoon. Those were dark days when I wondered whether I would ever see the sun again. When I wasn't sure what the future held and when the uncertainty made me anxious. But I changed from within and am now the glorious creature that you see in front of you. Sometimes you just have to trust the process." Saying this, the butterfly flew away. The sage, perplexed by the answers given by the butterfly, the bear, and the earthworm, turned back to look at the village again. To his surprise, he could now see civilization in the village. There were people walking around, going about their day. He walked up to one of the village elders who was sitting outside her home and said to her, "Pray, do tell me, where had all the people gone?" The lady looked at him and said, "The village was under the grip of a mysterious curse. One, they say, that befell the people because they did not respect the land and how it nourished them. There was a long period of confinement, darkness, and silence. but ultimately spring arrived. Do you see how clearly the water flows in the streams? How clearly we can hear the songs of the birds? We have just emerged from a long winter, and I really hope that we don't lose the lesson. Thank you.